Mic check. Yo, what's good, people? I'm back. There's ROCKSTEADY, King of the Pit TV. Yo, this one goes out to James. Thank you very much for the recommendation, James, my mate. F sharp, A sharp, infinity, unless it's F hash, A hash, infinite. You tell me. We're listening to Godspeed, You Black Emperor. First time I'm going to listen to this ever. You look at the album artwork and you look at the song lengths, and at first glance you assume it's going to be doom, but supposedly this is post-rock. We've only got 3 tracks on this record. I'm locked and loaded. I got some cheddar cheese twists, and I got my speciality here. I got some night cider. We're not messing about, people. I've only got 3 tinnies. We're not going to be going overboard. I've got quite a few albums to get through, and I'm hoping to do at least a couple tonight. This is not only a record, but a band that I saw regular upon the music forum on 4chan when I was a teenager and used to browse it quite regular. This was one of the bands that the hipsters of their time would talk about a lot, alongside your Tyler the Creators and your Radioheads and your Neutral Milk Hotels. But I never got into this. And you know what? If there was any time to start listening to an act like this, it would have been back then. Because I even downloaded like music from Sun and stuff like that. So I had quite a broad spectrum of experimentation when it came to, hip music. And I say hip respectfully because I do associate this with, the hipsters of their time, because as well as it being a part of that crowd, I had a good friend of mine who initially got me into like extreme metal music, so I owe him a lot. And without long, he went off in a direction where he started listening to music such as this, and he was ahead of my time, to say the least. I couldn't catch up with him. But with that being said, we got some long numbers. 16 minutes 28, The Dead Flag Blues. Let's find out what this project's all about. We're listening to Godspeed You Black Emperor. This goes out to James. One love. Borderline half an hour is the third track. Can you imagine that? Half an hour. The wild thing is with like overtly progressive music, when they delve into the long time frames, is you have to like put a space in your calendar to listen to a song. Isn't that crazy? I used to listen to Dream Theater, so as always, I do say that respectfully, like I'm not out of the loop with long form songwriting.
The car's on fire. There's no driver at the wheel.
Cheers.
And the sewers are all muddy with 1,000 lonely suicides. And a dark wind blows.
No comments. We're raw dogging this, people. We're raw dogging it. 1996.
The government is corrupt. And we're on so many drugs with the radio on and the curtains drawn. We're trapped in the belly of this horrible machine. And the machine is bleeding to death. The sun has fallen down. And the billboards are all leering. And the flags are all dead at the top of their poles. It went like this. The buildings toppled in on themselves. Mothers clutching babies picked through the rubble and pulled out their hair. The skyline was beautiful on fire. All twisted metal stretching upwards. Everything washed in a thin orange haze. I said, kiss me, you're beautiful. These are truly the last days. You grabbed my hand, and we fell into it, like a daydream or a fever.
Mic check. So we're 4 minutes 30 seconds into this piece so far, and I use the term piece with purpose, with intention, you know? Mic check. Let me just see. You want me to turn this down a bit? Check, check. I was recording a few like spoken word bits prior to this recording, so I ramped up the volume a lot. This isn't a tune as of so far. With James referencing, it was post-rock, I think the genre was. Now, I'm not familiar with post-rock, but I thought it might have been a little more rhythm-centric, like there be some degree of beat. And maybe there will be. I'd be surprised if there wasn't. Like, honestly, I'd be surprised if there wasn't. It's just a slow build. But this is not as much... Well, it is. This is... I already know how dumb this sounds before I say it, but it is what it is. This is not as much music as it is atmosphere, right? Of course it's music. But you know where I'm coming from. We are withholding from your general mechanics of what a band does. And we are spreading one particular element of that band far and wide. The atmospheric element, the harmonious element, the feels. Because even though you can get off creating music with a guitar and a string section, right? This isn't a guitar and a string section. This is like an outro. It's like an awkward interlude of sound as opposed to a centralized, familiar organization that somebody like me who likes pop music and 4/4 westernized music is like, you know, predisposed to understand. The time signature's 3/4, am I right? Is there an ever so slight brush of the kick drum there in the background? There's a very percussive, slight, low frequency just popping into the mix. It might be an ever so slight brush of the bass guitar, but so minute. There it is. There it is. It's definitely present now.
We woke up one morning and fell a little further down. For sure it's the Valley of Death.
I drew Metatron's cube today.
And it's full of blood.
Sacred geometry. Right, we're in a transition. After I think this is a first for this channel. This sound is a first. The dynamic is so subtle at the moment, I'd be surprised if you could hear it. And I've ramped it up an additional 7 decibels in my mix, whatever that means. Is this band American? How the hell do you become successful with a sound as niche as this? Honestly, it's like Wizard of Oz music. We're going somewhere. panned to the left-hand side, there's a beautiful jingle jangle going on. Or at least there was. That panning there. This has got to be instrumental. A frontman can't work on this. So as we transition through the track, we swell in an idea and we reel it back and strip it down and minimalize it and transition into the next area, the next session. Respectfully, the band is as much the magic of the studio production as it is the actual writing. Because the engineer has to do a great job to make this work. That's a lovely sound. What would you call that? Is that a glockenspiel? If you just joined on this section and you looked at the album artwork, You'd feel, what is going on? There's such a disconnect. I think there's a slight band. Is that a banjo being played? Unbelievable. This is a fantastic start to the new set of albums I've got to go through, because this is so abnormal. Yeah, a little bling at the end. Wow, fantastic. Fantastic. Great use of dynamics. Great use of atmosphere. I like it because I don't want to know about the band. I don't want to know about the members of the band. I don't want to know who they are, because the mystique behind what I'm hearing, the twists and the turns, creates an element of depth in this act. Do you know? In the realm of the woman, you would say she's attracted to the mysterious man because it stimulates her imagination, right? What is understood is boring. So with the act not putting themselves at the forefront, no vocal line, and no, immediate imagery of the band, no, not even any credits on this particular video, all it does is gives me space to think and imagine and listen to the product, and that's really cool. That's really cool. We've got East Hastings coming up next. I'll see you there, people.